Hi everyone, my name is Victoria, and last month I wrote a BuzzFeed article about why the Tanner family vacation to Walt Disney World was a bit of a logistical nightmare. When I wrote it, I didn't think anyone would actually read it, but it turns out that 70,000 of you have, and thank you so much for reading. And I just thought I would make this video just to explain a bit more about why I said the things I said, and just wanted to let everyone know that Full House is my favorite show, and this still is my favorite episode. But now that I've gone to Walt Disney World a few times, watching it does stress me out. For those of you who don't know, Full House is an American sitcom that aired from the late 80s to the mid 90s. And although I actually wasn't alive for most of the airing of Full House, I still watched it religiously growing up. The episode where the Tanners go to Walt Disney World is called The House Meets the Mouse, and it's in two parts. It was the finale of the 6th season. So by the time we get to season 6, Jesse is now married to Becky, and they have twin boys, Nikki and Alex, and Danny is now dating a woman named Vicky, and things are getting serious. DJ is now in high school, and she has a boyfriend, Steve, and Kimmy is her best friend, and Kimmy's just always kind of there. The episode in question starts off by Jesse and Becky planning their anniversary. Now Jesse tells Becky that he and his band, Jesse and the Rippers, have gotten a gig to play in front of Cinderella's castle during the fireworks. Now they don't really explain why his band is playing in front of Cinderella Castle. You know, it's not really a holiday, it's not the taping of the Christmas parade. He's just there, and he's gonna sing. So, sure. Now what was supposed to be a romantic getaway for Jesse and Becky turns into a family vacation of 11. Kimmy, DJ's best friend, asks Danny if she can accompany him on the Tanner family vacation. And his response?
You know, Kimmy, as much as we love spending every waking hour with you, I'm afraid the Tanner family budget's already a little tight.
So, naturally, the family checks themselves into the Grand Floridian, which at the time, and even now, is one of the most expensive hotels that Disney owns on the Walt Disney World property. To top that off, Jesse and Becky mentioned that they're staying in a honeymoon suite at the Grand Floridian. Now, in 2018, those range about $2,000 US a night. So those of us who actually do have tight budgets, we can't really relate. But that being said, the Tanner family vacation does get off to a good start. Unfortunately, each of the family members then proceeds to throw their itinerary in the garbage, and this is where the vacation starts to go downhill. Since this episode aired in 1993, I'm going to base my research based on what the parks could offer at that time. So we're going to assume that DJ, Stephanie, Michelle, and Kimmy go to Magic Kingdom for park opening, which would have been 9 o'clock, because extra magic hours as we know them today didn't exist back then. When they walk onto Main Street, the first thing they see is a promotion for the 1992 film Aladdin. Now, because Steve couldn't accompany DJ on this vacation, she's really starting to miss him. So when she sees Aladdin, she thinks it looks a lot like Steve. Now this is my favorite part of the whole episode because Scott Weinger, I've heard his name pronounced a bunch of different ways. He voices Aladdin, but he also plays Steve Hale on Full House, so very clever on the writer's part. Now, in this whole promotion for Aladdin, a sultan gives a young guest the opportunity to rub the magic lamp and make a genie appear. Now, it was supposed to be Stephanie, but Michelle pulls the I'm the younger sibling card and goes up to rub the lamp. Naturally, she is the one that makes the genie appear, and she is given 3 wishes. Now, Michelle's first wish as princess for the day is peace on earth. That's not really a Disney wish, so she changes her mind and wishes that she doesn't have to wait in any lines for the whole day, which is actually pretty smart because at this time fast passes didn't even exist. Because Michelle is princess for a day, she gets to pick which ride the Tanner girls ride first. So she picks Prince Charming Regal Carousel. The show then jumps over to Danny, who is sitting in the Germany Pavilion at Epcot. Historically, the Pavilions of World Showcase do open at 11, so we're just going to assume that it's 11 now. Now Danny is considering proposing to Vicky at Walt Disney World, and albeit that is extremely romantic. But the middle of Germany Pavilion, not my top choice. So he's talking to Vicky, and he's trying to work up the courage to ask her to marry him when all of these cultural representative cast members come running out of nowhere and start dancing. But I'm really confused because is there no one manning the restaurants? Like, it seems like a lot of them in proportion to how many actually work there. But anyway, they start dancing around and Danny's proposal is cut short. We jump back to the Magic Kingdom at around, let's say 11 o'clock again, and Michelle, Stephanie, and DJ are still riding the Prince Charming Regal's Carousel. This seems to be the only attraction that Michelle has any interest in riding. It is great, I love it, but maybe not 25 times in a row. Stephanie who really this was supposed to be her princess for a day, but Michelle stole it, tries to convince her that they should go on other attractions, which I think is very reasonable. But Michelle comes back with, we've all had that one person in our party at Disney World. Now, DJ, Stephanie, and Kimmy start arguing what they're going to be doing with this bossy Michelle, and bossy Michelle's like, I don't have time for this, so she runs off. It does take them a couple seconds for them to realize she's gone missing, but when they do realize it, they don't go to Disney security right away. Now, Disney security has the resources to find lost children in a very short period of time, so if they had just alerted Disney security, the next couple of hours wouldn't have been a huge issue. And on top of that, there are literally giant posters of Michelle's face all over the Magic Kingdom because she's princess for a day, yet they still can't seem to find her. We then briefly pop back to the Magic Kingdom where we find Becky, Nikki, and Alex waiting for Jesse because he has been so caught up with rehearsals for his big gig in front of Cinderella Castle. Now, what I thought interesting about this was that Nikki and Alex are wearing those classic Mickey ears, but with their names stitched into the front like a bunch of weirdos. After Becky has a brief conversation with Jesse, the episode goes back to Epcot where Danny and Vicky have an advanced dining reservation at Coral Reef. Now, Coral Reef doesn't open until 11:30, so that's about the time I'm estimating it would be, based on the fact they had to walk from Germany Pavilion all the way over to Future World. Here, Danny tries to propose to Vicky again, which actually is a pretty romantic location, but they're interrupted by the fact that Jesse and Joey are recording a radio show underwater at the Living Seas Pavilion. Danny then gets a telephone call from inside the restaurant that's from DJ saying that Michelle is missing. So Danny books it over to Magic Kingdom. I hope he at least took a taxi because if my daughter was missing, I would not rely on Disney transportation to get me there fastest. And that marks the end of the first episode because this is a two-part episode, which, albeit, is a bit of a nail-biter. It is a cliffhanger, but we go back into the beginning of the second episode and Michelle is having a dance party in Adventureland, which is at Disney completely normal. But what isn't normal is the fact that who walks in to find her? Snow White. Now, at Disney, there's something called character integrity, which means that they're trying to preserve the backstory of these characters that people know so well from the Disney films. So it doesn't really make sense that Snow White is in Adventureland, which is mainly known for pirates and adventure. Because Snow White's, she's not about adventure, she just sits at home with 7 old men and dies the first time someone ever gives her a snack. Now, to keep character integrity, Disney has something called utilidors, so Magic Kingdom's kind of on the second floor of what guests see, and below that are underground tunnels, which actually do exist, so that people like Snow White can get from Fantasyland to wherever she needs to go without being seen on stage. So what Snow White's doing there, I have no idea. But she convinces Michelle that instead of finding her family, she should have a tea party with Mickey and his friends in Toontown. Once again, where's Disney security? So Michelle has her tea party in Toontown, where there are no guests. Usually the character meet and greet experiences are packed. Yet here Michelle is alone with Mickey, Minnie, Dopey, I don't know. Michelle realizes she's been a bit petty and agrees to go back to her family. Finally, Danny and the other girls are reunited with Michelle. They kiss, they make up, everything's going right. Now, by this time, I'm estimating it's about 12:30, 1 o'clock by the time they actually ran around the entire park and found Michelle without a cell phone. At some point, Danny meets up with Vicky again, and the two of them, plus the kids, go to Disney's MGM Studios just to watch the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. This is one of my favorite shows on Disney property, but there were tons of attractions they hadn't written yet at the Magic Kingdom, so this doesn't really make any sense. And the show is 25 minutes long, so that was a good chunk of their day just spent to watch this show. Now, as they're watching it, DJ thinks she sees Steve again. It's not Steve, it's Indiana Jones. The show ends and they head back to the Magic Kingdom. Why didn't you just stay there in the first place is my question, but I digress. Once they get back to the Grand Floridian, DJ and Steve are finally reunited. But Nick from BuzzFeed made a great point. Steve checked himself into the Grand Floridian, but he's far too young because in Florida, you need to be 21 to check yourself into a hotel. But we'll just ignore that fact. Maybe he lied about his age, we don't know. Snow White ends up finding the Tanners at the Grand Floridian. Once again, I don't know what she's doing there because she doesn't even meet for breakfast at 1900 Park Fair. But she finds them and convinces Michelle that all of her family should be a part of the 3 o'clock parade. That being said, it's now approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, so they only have 30 minutes to get the whole family back together, ride the monorail or car back to the Magic Kingdom, get dressed for the parade, and then get on safely to their floats for the 3 o'clock parade. But they do it because Disney is magical and anything can happen at Disney. Now we fast forward to 9 o'clock in the evening. I would really like to know what happened in those 6 hours. I hope they took a really nice nap because I would be exhausted after running around all day. At 9 o'clock, Jessie sings "A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes" in front of the castle, which is very romantic. Now, in that 6 hours, Danny manages to convince a cast member in charge of the fireworks to alter the design, which is literally planned days or months in advance, to have the fireworks read out, "Vicky, will you marry me?" Now, a normal firework is very expensive, but fireworks that spell out an entire sentence with proper punctuation, that probably cost thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Even though it was very expensive, Vicky says, "Yes, I will marry you to Danny," and they all live happily ever after until Danny and Vicky break off their engagement. Sorry, spoilers. When I was watching this as a kid, I didn't question this episode at all. But after working for Walt Disney World for 2 summers, I started to see that there were a few gaps in the story. Now, I understand it's just a TV show, reality is distorted, but I take my Walt Disney World vacation planning very seriously, and all I'm really saying is, would it really have killed them to pick up a guidebook? Thank you guys so much for reading the article and watching this video. I love the comments that you guys made on the article, and if you guys have anything else you'd like to share about this episode, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching.